This is a demonstration of working with data fields using the Pivot Table Control Center. As you probably saw in a previous video, adding and removing fields from a pivot table using the Pivot Table Control Center, you can add and remove data fields by checking and unchecking the checkbox next to the field's name. You can also double-click and use the Show or Hide All fields from the right-click menu. Now we're going to look at some other things that you can do with data fields. One thing that you can do is add grand totals for rows and for columns. Right now we have a simple crosstab with month as a row and year as a column. I will right-click and choose grand total for rows, and you will see that grand totals have been added for rows. And then I will choose grand total for columns to add the grand total for columns. And I will remove both of those. Now the default in the pivot table is for the data fields to be displayed in a column. If you right-click in the data fields list box and choose Move Data Fields to Rows, you will now see that sales and quantity have been moved into the row area. I will now right-click again, and this time I will choose Move Data Fields to Columns. Another thing you can do is you can change the function for summarizing fields in the data area. The default when fields are added is to use the sum. Here I will right-click on Sales, and I will click the function drop-down, and I will change it to Average. And now sales is reflected as an average of sales. I will right-click again, choose the drop-down, and this time I will change it to Max to get the max sale. And I will then change it back to Sum. Another thing that you can do is you can choose to display sales as a percentage of the total or a column or a row. To show that, I will add back the grand totals for rows and for columns, and I will now choose to display sales as a percentage of the total. You will now see that each sales item has been changed to reflect and show a percentage of the grand total, 100% total sales across 3 years and all months. I'll now change it to be percentage of a column, and you'll now see that each column of sales adds up to 100%, and each month is giving its percentage of the total. I will now change to percentage of a row, and now you can see each row adds up to 100%, and each cell is given its percentage of the grand total for the row across years. You can also change the format for a field. First I'll change back to Sum, and then I will choose the format. The default when fields are added to the pivot table is to have number with whole numbers. Here I will change it to show dollars with whole numbers, and you can see sales shown in whole dollars. I'll now choose dollars with 2 decimals to show sales shown as dollars and cents. And for one more example, I'll change it to a number, no dollars, with 1 decimal. And one last time, I'll change it back to the default number, whole. You can also change the position of a data field within the data fields area by selecting it and using the arrow buttons to move the field. You can also select a field, right-click, and choose Move First or Move Last. I chose Move Last, and sales moved into the last position. I'll choose it again, and this time I will choose Move First. You can also, as explained earlier, use Hide All to hide all data fields, or Show All to show all data fields. That was a demonstration of working with data fields using the Pivot Table Control Center.